What's up, guys? It's Bastian here again, traveling down on Nostalgia Avenue, and we're going to be looking at the Bomber deck that came out as one of the five MTG 7th edition pre-constructed decks. The first thing is that I owned this deck back in, I guess it was 2001 when I bought this. That was when 7th came out. I bought this deck and I've got some good and some bad memories about it. I'm going to focus on the good ones. Um, I did actually buy this again, and then these were unwrapped back in the days, believe it or not. But when I've opened it and I saw that beautiful silver lining, I just couldn't get myself to open it. So instead, I kept this. And yes, they used to come with an extra foil. That's a foil swamp. I don't know why they couldn't just put in a foil island, but that's something for history to decide. Um, the other sort of theme decks or starter decks were Armada, Decay, Infestation, and Way Wild. I kind of wish I would have bought Infestation as well because I had the Noobs Goblin deck and that could have perhaps done with it, but I thought I already had a Goblin deck and I didn't need upgrading. Little did I know that these decks are only 40 cards, and yeah, you needed more stuff to be able to run this deck against somebody. But what I did when I realized that I don't have the heart to open this box, I dug up the cards that I had left from the deck. I then went online and bought the cards that I was missing. So I actually have this 40 card deck reassembled, and some of it are my original cards. Of course, that was ripped off pretty much all the rares that I had here, and I specifically remember Thieving Magpie. I was forced to trade it. Yeah, times were different in Hungary, but nevertheless, let me go through this deck. I want to start with the instant and sorceries. I will go through the creatures, and we also have an enchantment here. Then we're going to look at the lands. So in very true blue style, we have two counter spells. I believe this was the last time when this was legal in standard. And we also got a force spike, which has not been seen legal since the 7th edition. In fact, I'm not even sure if it has been reprinted. But we have Mana Tithe, which basically is Force Spike but in white, and that's because I think it came out in Time Spiral. So we got some pretty good counter spells to start with when it comes to our instant lineup, and I love these cards as well. For removal, and obviously if you know Magic, you know that blue doesn't really remove, rather than it returns to hand. We get 2 copies of Boomerang and a copy of Unsummon. So Boomerang allows us to return any permanent to its owner's hand, even lands, which is pretty cool. And Unsummon returns a target creature to its owner's hand, which is also pretty cool. To help with card draw, we have 1 copy of Inspiration, and we also have card draw / card selection, one of the first rares, Ancestral Memories, which is a pretty neat card. Yes, it's a bit expensive, but this deck is obviously trying to teach the players the basic mechanics of running control. So Ancestral Memories is a sorcery, 5 mana cost. Look at the top 7 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. It's pretty big actually for what it does. I mean, it's a top 7 and you can pick 2. That's pretty decent. I also like Inspiration because it does work on instant speed, and whilst it is 4 mana, it does allow us to either keep up counters or just spend them to draw cards at the end of our opponent's turn, end phase. So this is our instant and sorcery lineup. And actually, I'm just going to cover one of the really good cards as well in the deck. Or back in the days, this used to be a very good card. We got a copy of Confiscate here, the only enchantment we get in the deck. But this is an enchant permanent, and you pay for 6. You control enchanted permanent. Again, that can be anything, even lands, which is pretty cool. I do specifically remember that the counter spells, the Force Spike, and the Confiscates, I have kept, and even the unsummon. These are from my original deck, I remember that. So Confiscate, I always used to think is a pretty banging card, but I never really got to play this deck, unfortunately, because I was cheated out of some of the cards. Um, but hey, again, I'm trying to focus on the good memories here. So the good memories are that I have, rediscovered this deck, and it's a bit of a link to my 13, 14-year-old self. Okay, let's look at the creatures. We of course get some Merfolk because we talk in blue. We get a copy of Merfolk of the Pearl Trident, which is, well, it's good if it's in your starting hand. After that, it will start to become a bit lackluster. I do like Coral Merfolk though. For 2, you get a 2/1. That's actually not bad. That's quite an aggressive creature for blue. And we also get a Merfolk Looter, which does allow us to do a little bit of a card selection, draw a card and discard a card. And we get a Sage Owl. Again, very good utility creature. It also has flying. And when you play it, you can look at the top 4 cards of your library and put them back in any order. So that gives us a bit of a nice little rearranging of the deck. And another counter spell, which I had to reacquire, Daring Apprentice. It's quite heavily costed, but it allows us to basically have a counter spell on the board ready to use. This is particularly good when if you can play it holding up another counter perhaps, and then if you want to tap out next turn for something like Ancestral Memories, you can at least counter one spell once the Summoning Sickness is over on Daring Apprentice. And it's a very nice looking art as well. Particular, and also I think the flavor texts are so humorous on these cards as well. I've seen my master do this 100 times. How hard can it be? And of course you have to sacrifice the Daring Apprentice to counter the spell. So absolutely love it. A good old classic Prodigal Sorcerer with a new art was introduced in the 7th set, and I remember a lot of people saying like, oh, they like the old style. I actually really like this newer style, back then newer style of the look of the Prodigal Sorcerer. And yeah, this is just the usual little ping machine. You gotta love it. And there's a copy here. Okay, some of the most beautiful creature art in Magic the Gathering. Wind Drake is here, 2 copies no less. And it's a 3-mana 2/2 with flying. I mean, you just gotta love it. I love it. It's so beautiful. Let's just take a moment and look at this art. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely loving it. And 2 copies as well, so you can definitely have some good attacks, sneak in, or just defend against your opponent's flyers. Talking about defense, we do get quite a lot of specifically defensive creatures, very much in blue style. We get 1 copy of the Horned Turtle, which is a 3-mana 1/4, and you probably want to keep this up to block more often than not. We also get a Wall of Air, a 3-mana wall with flying, and it's 1/5. And this is only going to be blocking because walls can't attack. And we also get Glacial Wall, which is also 3-mana. It's a 0/7. And I like this kind of a wall because, well, it doesn't hit you back, but it definitely stops pretty much anything you can throw at it, which is really, really cool. And my old friend, the Thieving Magpie, which I probably had for a day after I bought this deck, and it's actually really good for the time. Yes, 4 mana, it's expensive, but you get a 1/3 flyer, and every time it deals damage to an opponent, you draw a card. And because it has flying, it's more likely to get some damage in. Okay, next stop, we have Fighting Drake. So this is a nice upgrade on the Wind Drake. It is only 1 extra mana, 1 extra blue mana, and you get +2 defense on the back end of this Drake. It's a 2/4 flyer for 4. And we get the big boy Air Elemental. I believe this was also a new art, moving from the previous versions. They've had the alpha. Was it the alpha? Or the Yeah, I think it came out in alpha. That art was there, I think, until you know sixth edition, and it was nice to see a refresh of some of the art on these cards. I think Boomerang was also changed. The art was changed. Anyway, I love Air Elemental. This is your obviously the final beater. This is what you want to get out when you got a nice board state. 5 mana, 4/4 flyer. That used to be really good when Psycho meets Cyclone, and that is it for the spells. And we got, of course, some lands too. Four of this five of this John Avon design. We got four of this Tony Scudlow. Studlow. We got four of this Scott Bailey, and four of this Rob Alexander Island here. I might not be 100% on the ratios because I've had some additional islands from the 7th edition, but my favorite is this John Avon. So if I would have all 17, just this John Avon, I would be well happy with that. Not the other ones aren't beautiful, and they are, but I particularly also love the style of the land that you just get the land symbol, and there's no text on it, no nothing. Very nice, very simple, very easy to identify that this is a land, and it provides you one blue mana in this case. So thanks for joining me down memory lane. This has absolutely been a blast to put this deck together again. And technically I have two copies. I would absolutely love to do something like getting maybe another copy, because I really don't want to open that. Maybe get another copy and use two copies of this deck to build a 60 card deck and play it against one of the other decks where, like, let's say somebody would have two copies of Decay and they put together 160 card deck based of two boxes of Decay. That would be Decay. That would be amazing. That would absolutely bring me back down memory lane. So if you are this person perhaps that wants to do this, let me know, and we can definitely organize some gameplay. Anyway, this is it. Bussin signing out. Peace.